guidance to begin this meeting. Help us engage in a meaningful discussion and allow us to grow closer as a group and nurture the bonds of the community. We ask this in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I'll call the meeting to order. Would you do a roll call, please?
Burnham.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Chapman.
Here.
Peterson.
We do have a quorum, and so we'll go on to the first item, which is the consent agenda. There's 5 items on the consent agenda to approve the December 6th meeting, December 22 claims, November 22 financial for all the departments, January 23rd estimated payroll, and to approve the 12/6 meeting minutes. Is there any item you'd like to have removed from the consent agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do I have a second? We have a second by Burnham. Call for a vote, please.
Burnham.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. At this time is remarks or inquiries by the audience not pertaining to any item on the agenda. Is there anybody would like to make a statement or say something? Come on. Okay, thank you. So at this time, we're with the city manager's financial report for November.
There we go. There we go. Okay. You can see the sales tax revenue was off a little bit, not much. And it was greater than it was this time last year. Our use tax was up over last month and over last year this same time. Are there any questions on the financials?
What's in the other revenue?
That is, that's just miscellaneous stuff, Larry.
So just-
Alcohol tax,
Apparently, we're not drinking enough. We're down 50%.
well, there was, those taxes are gonna be carried over to the next report. And so they're gonna be, our next report's gonna be substantially higher. Any other questions?
On the monthly fund balance, it shows a negative $19,000, $227. Is that just kind of a normal change?
Well, that's mainly on account of the alcohol taxes.
Oh,
and
okay.
That wasn't reported on this month. That will be
Oh.
reported next month.
Okay,
That's the reason for that negative.
okay. And then what about the utility authority?
Well, that's just normal, electricity sales are way off, water sales are way off. I mean, it's just the time of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And anything else?
Does anybody else have any questions? If not, thank you. And we'll go on to the ordinances and resolutions. Number 7, discussion and possible action with regard to adopting resolution number 2023-20 to apply for a CDBG REAP grant. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Would you tell us about that?
Clyde is here with SWOTA.
Oh, okay. I knew I recognized your voice. It's been a while. I mean, your face.
There is a community development block grant / REAP, Rural Economic Action Plan grant through SWOTA. The city's had these before. I think we had some police cars sometime years ago, some fire equipment. But this is an opportunity to apply for this funding. The amount of funding is $259,000. In order to qualify for the community development block grant, the city of Mangum has to be at least 51% low to moderate income. And right now, on your percentage, you're at 49%. So.
Really?
If the city would, I know it's hard to believe.
I'm shocked from working with the school and knowing what our, yeah, that's, wow.
So, if the city can do an income survey of the households here in Mangum, how they do that, we take a listing of all the occupied households, get a number, total number, and then we get a random number table from the Department of Commerce. And they'll tell us, we'll have to survey at least 350 households.
Wow.
And so it would be good if everyone would, could, participate in this, the ones that are called on to, respond. We just ask them 2 questions, it's how many's in their household, and if their income's above or below a certain amount. And there's, 8 different categories for up to 8 in the household. So, and they've done this before, so, it would be good if you want to qualify, and the surveys are good for 5 years. So,
And where do they get that percentage at?
HUD gets it from somewhere, because yours is, it'll go up and then it'll go back
And
down.
I mean,
we've done
because the
some-
school's usually a lot higher than that. I mean, it's usually 70-something% free and reduced lunches, so that's what surprises me. Yeah.
So, this resolution is to apply for the grant, for the city, permission to apply for the grant on behalf of the citizens of the city of Mangum, and then it goes to the Department of Commerce for the review and approval. And then on another agenda item, we have a citizen participation plan. We had a public hearing at 5:30 to ask any questions about the grant application itself. And there's a lot of information in there that basically it's just to let all the citizens be a part of the grant application and if they have any questions they can ask us.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? No questions, then we'll go ahead and call for a vote for the adoption of Resolution 2023-20.
Burnham? Miller?
Yes.
Chapman?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. And this is another one. Discussion and possible action in regard to approving the City of Mangum Citizens Participation Plan for the CDBG REAP grant. Do I have a motion?
Make the motion.
Do we have a second? Have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? That's still just part of this, right, and everything, like you said, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and call for a vote.
Burnham? Miller?
Yes.
Chapman?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, thank you very much for your time being down here and talking to us. Other items,
Thank you,
number
Clyde.
9.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. Discussion and possible action with regard to setting a special meeting to pass the proper resolutions to amend the charter to the City of Mangum. The charter election must be no less than 20 days and no more than 30 days from the date of publication. The Mangum Star has changed its publication dates to Friday instead of Thursday. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Would you like to talk to us about that? Is there anything you want to, I mean, I know that
No.
that's what
No, I mean, that's.
we've talked about, that's what we did wrong the last time, right, Irma? Yes.
Yep.
We didn't get that time right on it? Okay. All right, so go ahead and call for a vote.
Oh, you gotta need to pick what day you wanna do have
Yeah.
your special.
Oh, what day?
No.
You need to pick what day you wanna have your special meeting on and pass these resolutions. That's
Oh.
what this is
We
for.
figure the math on the 20-day,
Yeah.
30-day thing.
Do we have to do it right now, you mean?
Yeah.
Next,
How come you haven't done that?
Done the math?
yeah.
We had the math done, but then the Mangum Star changed their publication deadline.
I figured.
I
Okay.
mean, I think it's like legals were one day, and then I guess we would technically.
Is that what
follow the
happened?
legal, yeah.
I never did really know exactly what happened, because I couldn't imagine you guys really being off, so I didn't know that. What,
So our election is the
Day.
21st.
21st?
Which election is?
Our election, our city election is the March 21st.
Is it March
It's the
21st?
I thought it was
Tuesday.
the first Tuesday in April.
No, that's the state. Since we're a charter town, we go based off of our charter, and our charter says the third Tuesday in March is ours, because we don't fall under the state.
Okay, so when does it
Third
need to be?
Tuesday.
Well, the third Tuesday is March 21st.
Okay. So is that following with the timeline deal? I guess it does, the last publication, and just gotta make sure that we get that in there. So do we need to say a date? Is that what you're saying?
Mhm.
And are we saying March 21st?
No, that's when our election
That's
is.
what I thought. So we
Yeah.
have to do this how many days? 20
Between
days?
20 and 30
30
days,
days.
the last day of publication. So whatever the last day of publication is, we have to be 20 to 30 days. See, originally, we had it back prior to their publications were Thursday, but now it's Friday.
So if we do it March 3rd, it would be 18 days.
Yeah,
That's
so-
not enough, is it?
No,
So,
because that's when we had planned on doing it was,
so
yeah.
the last Friday in February would work,
Yeah, I
right?
thought you said the last Friday in February, Chloe.
At this point now, yeah.
Yeah, so February 24th is what we need to do?
Would be the- Well, that's the date of the last newspaper publication, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So we would start it on what date? The 10th?
It'd be 3 weeks prior to the,
3 weeks prior to,
it has run 3
24th,
weeks.
so it'd be-
To the
It would run
24th.
the 10th, the 17th, and the 24th.
oh, okay.
So then you would have to have a special meeting to adopt the resolution within 20 days of the 10th.
So, okay, so 10.
So February 10th.
Because it has to be put in the newspaper 20 days after you pass the resolution. Up to 20 days.
So it must be, the charter election must be no less than 20.
So we need to publish it on the 10th, the 17th, and the 24th. And then when we,
The special meeting. needs
Special
to be
meeting.
the 20. Inside the 21st or outside the 21st of January?
What do you mean?
Well,
March.
Well,
when does the
yeah.
special meeting, is it,
the special meeting has
Just
to
has to
be
be
after
in-
we,
anytime before the 10th, I guess, right?
Correct, yeah. But
So
no
we have
more
to have
than
it
20 days after, before the first day of publication.
Okay.
So you can have the special meeting that week you publish, but
Seven.
like if we adopted it today, would be more than 20 days for when we do. So that's why we can't pass it today.
Right. So you would need to be in the 21st or later, January 21st or later.
Yeah.
So, you wanna do 24th, January 24th? For a special meeting?
it's the 24th, was all right with y'all?
Yeah, you just, yeah,
Just, of
pick a
course,
day,
it's just
we'll
be a
here.
real short special meeting.
Right.
So you wanna say January 24th for the special meeting? And,
That's the same day as the hospital meeting.
Yeah,
so
we
oh, it is? Okay.
y'all can do it
Um,
that day, but you can do it sooner than, or later than the
We
hospital.
We would
meeting
do
at
it, we could
5.
do it at noon, maybe. Could we do it?
in the morning?
Yeah, in the morning or at noon. We could do it at 10 o'clock or something, maybe. You're the one
It's
that,
fine with me.
okay.
Just let me know.
So you still wanna do it on the 24th, like at 10 o'clock? How's that with everybody? If that's okay, then we will have our special meeting on January 24th at 10 a.m. And it'll be published the 10th, the 17th, and the 24th of February. And then what? Is that it?
Do we have to vote on that special meeting?
No, y'all don't have to necessarily take a vote on it if you don't
Yeah.
want.
So what do we need to vote on right now?
Well, now that you got the date set, nothing. It's just on the 24th, you're gonna adopt the resolution to what charter amendments you want. Then we'll put it in the newspaper for 3 weeks, and you're gonna call for the election for March 21st to vote on the charter changes. So there's gonna be a lot of stuff done on the 24th.
Do we need to?
Do we have to have action then on this item, number
Not that if
9?
y'all agree, that's when the meeting needs to be.
Okay, so we
Not
don't
been
have
voted,
to
yeah.
do a vote, we don't have to vote on it. So if that's okay, then we'll say January 24th at 10 a.m.
Now, the resolution we adopt needs to be the specific changes we need to make, so I need to get with, I guess, you, Larry, and that way we can get that resolution
Yeah,
done.
I've got all my suggestions already done.
And if anybody else has any suggestions, we need to look at that so we can adopt that resolution.
Are you looking at changing whether the mayor votes or not?
I'd be in favor of having a
I
vote.
mean, that's what it was supposed to, one of the big things it was last time, we were gonna do that. Right.
That, and then do away with the election article to make the state do all the articles, and then we
Yes.
would be on the state election calendar and
That would be
volunteer and
good.
stuff like that. And it would change the term, and it wasn't gonna change all that, it was another things that we discussed
Okay.
doing.
Okay,
Term of,
Well, right now, you know, because of our elections are, they don't have, we have a municipal election every year.
right. in
But the
spring.
state just does it every other year in odd years, so it would change kinda how the terms work.
okay,
Because they just, like, for example, this year we have municipal elections, but next year there won't be regularly scheduled municipal elections under the state.
okay. So there's no action on number 9?
No.
Okay, no action on number 9, and the 24th is good with everybody at 10. Okay, so let's go on to item number 10, discussion and possible action with regard to reviewing the interlocal agreement for the operation of emergency medical services between the city and the MUA and the Greer County Special Ambulance District. The agreement provides that the district must, number 1, provide a financial audit within 90 days of the conclusion of its financial year, indicating no material weaknesses and substantial deficiencies, provide proof that it has raised sufficient and proportional revenues from Greer County and additional committees to properly fund the ambulance district. Failure to satisfy either point allows for termination of this agreement effective February 1, 2023. Do I have a motion?
Well, there's no motion to
There's
make
no
this
motion?
yet. Because
There's
we're
no
just-
action?
Well, it's just to review it and stuff like that,
So,
So this is just saying that's what we're gonna do?
Yeah.
We don't have to vote on anything?
not under this one.
So we didn't need to put discussion, possible action?
I
Okay.
just do that out of habit.
Yeah, it's because you're using a template that has it on it and you don't wanna erase it.
Don't do that on
I do that all the time. I do that all the time. Okay.
Well,
So,
first
any
it's a
questions?
discussion, possible action with possibly terminating, but I decided that wouldn't be good on the agenda, so then I changed it to reviewing.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about this and wanna discuss it at all? So there's no action here?
Bill, do you have any remarks on this particular?
Well, we're gonna
or is
take
that
no
the-
action on this as far as approving a new agreement.
Well,
Is
that'd be,
correct?
that's the next item.
Okay.
That's this one,
This
yeah.
was just reviewing to see if those conditions under section 7 of the agreement were satisfied, because if they weren't satisfied, y'all can come back and
Well, as of
terminate.
yet, we've not received that documentation as far as the
The audit.
financial information, the audit information. I've not seen it.
Can I answer?
Oh, is that what you guys?
Yeah, that's what we're here
Oh,
for.
okay, well, come on, if you'll come up here where the microphone is. I need you to turn that on too. There's a button right there in the front. Yes, please. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, for most of you that know me or that don't know me, my name is Landon Brooks. I'm the chairman of the Greer County Special Ambulance Service. This is David Fight, our co-chair. So most of you, the rest of you all know me in here. So to bring that up to what you're talking about the audit, we are actually waiting for any time now to go through the exit interview. I have spoke to the state auditor's office about 2 weeks ago. Everything's looking good. They just gotta have time to button it up. So that's one reason why you guys have not received an audit. I'm not gonna go out and pay another $1,400 for an audit to be done when there's already one being completed. And when talking about the financials, raising sufficient funds, if we hadn't raised sufficient funds, we wouldn't be here. So that goes to show you that we're still here, we're still operating, everything is in the good. We're in good shape as of today. We actually have a meeting tomorrow at 6 o'clock. I invite any of you to be there if you want. We meet every first Wednesday of the month. Just to kind of give you a little oversight, you're talking about financials. We currently have about $88,000 in our account. We have about $20,000 to $30,000 out in accounts receivable. We are in the process of changing our billing services, where it's not going to be in-house anymore. It's going to be third-party billing, which will help limit our overhead, but also too is those guys deal with it every day.
Yeah, they're
You
very
know,
experienced.
And Mary Jane, you sat on this board before, so you
Mhm.
understand the differences and the rules and the regs that we have to make sure we're following. So,
Mhm.
but I know, like you said, you haven't got the audit because the audit's still ongoing. They started this back in August with the EMS division out of Weatherford. We have a good relationship with them. They've done it for us for the last 6 years that I've been on board. So, but we're here to answer any questions that you have, anything going forward. We came kind of enlighten you guys a little bit. If you ever Google rural EMS services, they're falling apart. They're closing their doors. They're shutting up shop. And basically, the rural Americans are either having to drive themselves to the hospital or they're having to rely on the closest ambulance, whether it might be 45 minutes to an hour away. Well, that's what we're trying to defeat here, is this very thing to happen in Greer County, because this does not cash flow without outside help coming in. It will not work. We can't have the medics on board to help run this. It's not a volunteer service no more. You know, everybody's paid an hourly wage, and
Do we
whereas
have
before
everybody?
it used to be volunteer.
Yeah, do we have everybody we need right now?
Yes, as of right now, in the last 4 months, we have added 3 new medics. One that was a paramedic. I want to say 2 that were advanced EMTs, and then 1 EMT. In the next 6 months, we project to have at least 1 more paramedic on board.
Wow, that's good.
And if that can happen, we're hoping to have a paramedic on site at least 5 days a week for the county to help coverage. Because that's part of it. Transports is a big income for ambulance services. The problem is we got to where we could not take the transports. We were barely keeping the doors open. A lot of times when you're having to do a transport to Oklahoma City or Norman, wherever they may be going, they have meds hanging, which requires a paramedic to be with them at all times during that transport. So that would shoot us out of the water, and they'd have to call air evac to come in. Whereas of now, with our new numbers, matter of fact, we talked to our new interim administrator, Michael Poe, this evening. He apologizes for not being here. But we've already done, the last 2 weeks, we've done 2 trips to Oklahoma City so far with just the new changes that are coming in. We've actually are being requested out of Elk City Hospital as well for transports. So there's a few things moving in the right direction. It's just, you know, one step at a time to get there. We can't change it overnight. We can't flip a switch and make this thing, you know, go crazy for us. But if we continue to work forward to where we're going, we'll be in a whole lot better shape.
Is the contribution from other government entities, are they meeting their obligations?
Yes, so Mangum and Granite are the biggest communities we have in Greer County, and Granite's on board with us. They've paid every month. They actually started paying the month of March last year, as soon as the agreement with them also went through. We have met with the city of Willow. We're in the process of setting a date for them for a town hall meeting. Not that we're going to get an excess funds from them, but to get Granite and Mangum on board was the biggest part. Another step that we are working towards, after we get our medics in place, is a membership for the individuals and the residents in Greer County that live in the rural side, where they could pay the same amount of fee for $12 and be covered, just like everybody else is that's in the city of Mangum or the city of Granite. So there's also a couple other things that's moving along. I know some of you guys weren't here when all this was going on a year ago. But you know, if we can continue to grow it a little bit and possibly reduce the fee at some point, if everything's going good, if everything's moving. We have a lot of expenses though that are coming up. One of them is a new ambulance. You know, that gentleman here with SWOTA, we've reached out to them, we've talked about grants. The problem is with the grants is they only come up certain times of the year. So we're coming through the next cycle. Our administrator has already been in touch with the grant writer that's getting us set up for an ambulance. Another thing is though, even though you get a grant, you're still paying $60,000 to $70,000 at least out of pocket, for something like that.
Is the county a contributor as well?
Yes, we do receive ad valorem tax money.
How much? How much annually do you get from the county?
Roughly around 50,000, 40 to 50,000. I think there was one year it was down, 3 or 4 years ago. It seemed like.
How much a month, Irma?
How much do we charge a month?
How much are we collecting a month?
$12 or
Yeah.
Times.
time per
$18,000
meeting.
a month?
How much?
Probably around $18,000 a month?
No, we haven't
No.
received.
No.
It's like
It's
11
like-
to 12.
Yeah, it's like
11 to
11,
12,
I think 13,000.
13,000
Mhm.
So
A
we're
month.
paying more than the county?
Oh,
a
yeah.
month
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
that we're collecting. Another question on that is, we're billing that on active water meters,
Mhm.
correct?
Primary residence.
Primary residence.
Primary residence, right, because
Okay.
they have,
Well, there's a lot of primary residences that already have coverage. I'm one of them, and I'm paying twice. Is there any way, and I'm not complaining about that, I'll make my $12 contribution, but, ambulance service for me don't cost anything.
so
I'm
what is
covered.
it you have, then, if you,
I've got Medicare, and then I've got supplemental.
oh, so that'll
coverage.
pay for the ambulance
Sure.
still?
And there's a lot of people like
Well, I
that in
mean-
Mangum that's paying.
But you're paying to have an ambulance in Mangum if you want one, essentially. I mean.
I'm paying my $12. I hope I don't need one for
Yeah.
quite a few
Well,
years.
no, I'm just,
Well,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not wanting to argue with you,
Yeah.
I'm just stating the point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
You know, there's folks out here that's paying $12 that don't need to be paying $12 because they're already covered.
I'm the same way.
So-
But I don't want them to have to come from Elk City or Altus.
But
to
I
get
want,
me.
I want you to hear my point,
Mhm.
Yes, sir.
okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
And give that some consideration,
Mhm.
because it is valid.
And I think
So-
that's why we need to look at this real close every year.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah, and we know it's not necessarily a moving target, but we know it's something that we're gonna come back every year. and-
That's why you appreciate us so much, right?
Absolutely. Well, we're one phone call away in our small community,
Yeah.
Mangum and Granite both we have good relationships with both cities and towns. And moving forward so far, everything's been going great.
Mhm.
It's some months it's challenging, all the phone calls we get
Mhm.
from EMS people about addresses, and, I
Mhm.
mean, we don't really have time to devote to that. I mean, collected on a primary residence, $12, if it was all that simple, it wouldn't be no big deal.
Mhm.
But there's problem after problem after problem. A lot of people don't have time to chase that stuff down.
Mhm.
And we spend a lot of time chasing that stuff down. So, we need to streamline that process and, because for us, it's a service. We're just providing a service to the EMS.
Mhm.
And I really don't have a problem with that up to a point.
Mhm.
But once it gets beyond that point, then I have a problem with it. Because it's taking so much of my people's time,
Mhm.
okay? So,
So should that be some kind of contractual change then, or what?
well, it's,
Address that?
like he said, I wasn't here last year when all this stuff started, so,
Why is the city doing the addresses and stuff? Because usually they go to the office there at the ambulance service.
We don't have access to, the meters.
Yeah, that's.
Well-
what-
We can't
just
tell if
don't
Mary
know who-
Jane paid
yeah.
her $12 fee.
Well, no, we,
Oh,
We-
well, I see about that, but,
we can generate a list, you know, and
Uh-huh.
matter of fact, we've got a list generated. And it's got the addresses and the
What-
names, got the contact information for each account.
but let's just say one house down here didn't pay, they're still gonna get service, right? They're gonna be billed, or what happens? I mean, you can't say, we're not gonna go to your house and take
No,
an
no, no.
ambulance.
The difference is, yes, you're gonna be billed outside of your insurance or not. If you're paying your
Okay.
$12, no, you do not get billed
Okay,
outside
that's
of your
what
insurance.
that's what I was, yeah,
Correct.
and then, of course, you need to know who paid and didn't pay to know what to bill.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
everybody that has a water meter's getting billed though, right? So
Yes, it's at least on their
everybody
city
in the
bill.
city, everybody in the city limits, the way I understood it,
Well-
is under that.
Right.
That's the way we understood
Yeah,
it
Right.
was.
we don't have time to chase down who has and who hasn't paid, that's what I'm
Yeah.
getting at.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, that everybody pays.
They
correct?
should, they're
Yeah.
supposed to.
Yeah, so everybody in the city, I mean, it's on their
Well,
bill,
there's
so
a
they're
list-
all,
there's
so
a-
they're all covered.
Yeah,
is the
there's a
way
list
we
of people
understood it.
who are late and stuff, but they eventually have to pay, or
Yes,
they don't
exactly,
have.
so they're all covered, I mean, yeah, there's no, that's what I was thinking, I mean,
Right.
everybody that has a city address is
Mhm.
covered, correct?
Primary
I mean,
residence.
Yeah, primary residence is covered, I mean, there's no, if
But
their
the point
residence
is,
is here.
it's a service that we're providing to the EMS,
Mhm.
and,
And the city of Granite does the same.
Yes, yes.
that needs to be considered, and, consideration needs to be given to our people, that are having to chase this information down.
Yeah.
There's time, we just don't have time for it.
All I know is we need our ambulance service.
We
need our
gotta
ambulance
have it.
service.
We've
It's a
got
service
to
that we
have it.
Absolutely.
We definitely have to have it. Does anyone have any questions? for
Do you have
Linda?
any idea when you're gonna get your audit?
I do not. I can find out tomorrow, but I do not know. Actually, usually it does not take this long. When I reached out to them, they said everything's good. They just gotta put the final touches on it, and then, Sherry Woolridge with OSAI will be reaching out to us.
That's a long time, though.
It is, yeah.
That's too
It's-
long.
I don't know if they've been busier with other audits going throughout the state. I know I heard the other day they've been pretty hooked up, so. And they're really good about it, reaching out to you when they've got questions right then to address those before you move on, so.
Okay.
We do have a good relationship with them, and, everything's, moving in the right direction. So.
What's your fiscal year?
Fiscal year is, July 1 to June 30th. And they usually do an audit every 2 years on us. When we was having some problems there it was back-to-back years, which was a welcome sight for us as well, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're supposed to renew this contract, or consider renewal of it, by February 1st.
This agreement,
So we
right,
need an
renewing this.
audit before February 1st.
That means that, we would have to have, well, we'll have that one
We got a
special
special
we got a
meeting
special
coming
meeting that's
forward.
gonna be coming up. We might contact him and see if he's got the audit when we have our special meeting. And we
Yeah, I
can,
can reach out to their offices
Yeah.
tomorrow and just let them know if there is a, I mean, 'cause like you say, we usually already have it in hand,
Mhm.
so.
yeah, yeah. Okay, any other questions? Well, let's look at number 11, which is in regards to renewing the interlocal agreement for the operations of the EMS. And it must be reviewed by February 1st. If not, it expires on June 30th of 2023. And it allows us to collect that $12 fee on residential, and it should say primary residential meters, within the corporate city limits of the city of Mangum. Isn't that correct, Corey? It should say the primary
Primary
resident, it should
residential,
say
yeah.
primary. Okay. All right, do I have a motion?
I make the motion to table this until we get a bit more information, to have it on a special meeting on January 24th.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on that? We just gotta make sure we have it done by February 1st.
Yep.
Okay, call for a vote.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Clemens. Miller,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries to table this and to see if we got the audit by the time that we have our next special meeting on January 24th. If you want to write that down, Landon, it'll be January 24th. Hopefully they'll have it done by then. Okay. Huh? Yes. That's what we said, 10 a.m. Okay, there's no executive session. Staff and board remarks. You can turn that back on.
All right, so if y'all remember last month, we started a monthly report from the police department. Nothing that we intend to take a long time on, but just kind of be a little bit transparent as to what's going on with the police department. Y'all have before you the December 2022 report. The radio logs that y'all are seeing there, the 1,289, that's 26% of our annual total for 2022. That's the difference in the changes that have been made with getting up to a full staff, which has helped. We've got 2 reserve officers, which has helped immensely. So those calls, but the call totals, I mean, they're not controllable. It's whoever needs the police department or whatever, or anything like that. But that is 26% of a 12-month total. That is gonna, I tell Phil this all the time, because citations, if you look at citations, the citations went up a lot. I mean, we had 30 that are coming up on the court date coming up next Tuesday. That will eventually plateau. We had an officer in training, and I know I'm jumping around a little bit, so don't. We had an officer in training that Assistant Chief Miller is also our FTO. There was 400 hours of, a little under 400 hours of FTO training, of on-the-job training. By the time he goes to CLEAT in May, he will have somewhere between so a little over 400 hours of pre-CLEAT training before he even goes. Now that will benefit him after CLEAT, because that will step him up into another level just because of that level of training. So he had so many hours on the job, plus he has, is it through OMAG, the police one through OMAG, which we have, which is online training. So communication skills, things like that they can continue to train, which we all do, but that's beneficial for him. Arrest totals, I mean, y'all can see through there. This was just in December. I'm not gonna read every individual number. The Otis monthly totals, there were 17 UCRs. What a UCR is our report. So if we do an arrest, if we do an investigation, anything like that, that's what a UCR is.
Scott, tell them what Otis is.
Otis is our Oklahoma Data Information System. Otis is the system that we use, any reports that we do. So if we do an investigation, it goes into Otis. If we do an accident, it goes into Otis. Radio logs, that everything that is called in inside Greer County goes into Otis. So without Otis, we don't have this information, because it keeps everything, it's already there. It's a service. I mean, we pay yearly for it, but we have to have it. I mean, it's kind of one of them things that you've got to have to be able to keep statistics. OSBI is who regulates Otis, so it is a part of the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation. They're the ones that actually own it. So those 17 UCRs, that's just in the month of December as it was. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I think we had 121 throughout the year, so we're doing better than 10 a month. And for Mangum, that will fluctuate. I mean, but that's a pretty good number for us. The vehicle usage, what we do is every time we go 10-7, 10-8, 10-8's go on shift, 10-7 go off shift, we give unit mileage. So the beginning of the shift, we give the beginning mileage, into the shift, we give the ending mileage. So you see that there was almost 4,000 miles logged between the police department in the month of December. Fuel usage, you can see the oil changes, new tires, that's just kind of interesting information. If you look at repairs, we did have a bit of a fender bender with a deer going on a call to assist Granite. One of them things that you really can't do anything about. Thank goodness we got some good insurance, and I believe Irma told me today that we did get the check in
Yes,
for that.
yes,
So
we got the check.
Goods is working on that. We'll have that unit back out on the road before you know it. The new news, that's what I was talking about with Officer McClintock. He's the newest officer that we have. Normally, we would want to have him in cleat by January or March. However, those cleat dates were already full, so he will not start until May, which means he goes beyond his 6 months. So we did have to do an extension request through cleat, which is no problem. They already accepted that. So once he starts cleat, he will not be able or allowed to work the streets as a cop until after he graduates cleat, which will be in October. So from May to October.
How many hours or days do they do now in Cleat?
4 10-hour days? Is it still 4 10-hour days? It's a little weird this year though, because he goes May 23rd to take his physical assessment, which it's all different from when I went. I mean, it was 9 weeks and now it's 16 weeks, but they have to go do a little obstacle course where they gotta drag a body and run and bear crawl and do all this stuff. And you've got 2 minutes to do all this stuff. So he goes and does that on May 23rd, but he doesn't actually start cleat classes till like the second week of June. So once that 23rd of May hits, we can't use him. We can use him at City Hall to help
Yeah.
clean or file or do stuff like that. So, you know, we're not just paying him to do nothing, but we cannot use him as an officer in any
On the
capacity at
street.
that point. And then his probationary patrol, that depends on cleat. I mean, once he completes cleat, he's on probation right now, which he'll continue to be on until he goes to cleat. But then once he graduates, there will be an additional probationary period in there before he's just willy-nilly. We did apply for a new grant. Phil actually got this email and passed it on to me about first or second week in December, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And it's through the Oklahoma Highway Safety Office? Okay, Oklahoma Highway Safety Office. It was a pre-application, so the pre-application had to be in before now, and then we're supposed to get an update the 6th or 7th to say whether or not the pre-application was approved, so it's not even the actual application. So once we get that and we're approved, then we go on to the application process, but then that grant doesn't actually kick in until October, I
think
believe,
that's
because it's a 2024 grant is what it is.
Oh,
But
okay.
they just wanted ahead of time what that's gonna benefit, and what we went for was traffic procedures, so hitting school zones, high traffic areas, extra enforcement in high crime areas, and what that grant's gonna do is pay us to have somebody out there on the street without us having to use overtime money and stuff like that, so that money will be there, so we can say, everybody come on, everybody's on board tonight, and then it doesn't cost out of our budget or the city's budget to be able to run that. We were able to get new phones for everybody. I actually already had one, but the other 4 officers got phones. Where that's gonna help us is that they're not having to use their personal phones, which means that their personal phones are no longer the ones subject to, public record.
Oh, okay,
So they're able to use those for the phone, so if dispatch needs to get a hold of them, or we need to get a hold of them, their emails, crime scene photos, radio communication in the future is where we wanna be able to go to get rid of radios and use our cell phones, for radio communications, and then officer location, so that we know where they're at all times, and if anything happens, we know where to go. Special task forces, this is much the same as it was, and it's gonna be this pretty much for a while, this multidisciplinary task team, where it's dealing with child welfare, sexual abuse with, children, women, mainly children. So it is just Jackson County's had one for a while, Greer County's now got one, they're gonna eventually go to Kiowa and Harmon. Again, it helps with grants and stuff like that, not necessarily for us as an individual department, but as a county to be able to have investigative services, training, everything like that, that would go along with what you would want your officers to know. The LEPC is an emergency management type deal. It's kind of complicated, Right now, what we do is we do scenarios like we've done a wildfire, we've done a tornado, we've done an ice storm, high winds, and something else, active shooter. So we do scenarios, and then it's us, it's granted, it's Greer County. There's people from Jackson County, Beckham County that come and help. And through that, this guy that heads it will be able to take these scenarios and put them into a system. So if we did have an active shooter, okay, this is what you have available. You don't have this available, this is what you need. Again, it will eventually help with grants, getting money in, getting equipment, getting training, which is what we need more than anything. Radio logs total through the year was over 5,000. I kind of went over this stuff. The UCRs were 121 for the year. Citations were 89 for the year. 30 of those were since mid-November. So that just tells you that the officer production has escalated immensely. And like I said, we're not gonna have 30 tickets every month. You know, eventually the town's gonna slow down. They're gonna stop running stop signs and stuff, but that just lets you know that we've got officers that are out there and they're being active. So I'm very pleased with the department as a whole. I couldn't ask for better right now. So unless y'all got any questions, that's it.
Any questions?
Thank you,
No?
Scott.
Yep.
Thank you
y'all.
very much. We appreciate it very, very much. Thank you, Brandon, for that. Officer Miller. Okay. Any new business?
We'll skip over that.
Any
No.
new business?
No.
No new business? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Call for a vote, please.
Burnham,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Okay. The city commission meeting is adjourned. We're gonna go directly into the utility authority meeting. And I'll call that meeting to order. Would you do a roll call, please? When you have a minute. Yeah, yes. Here.
Burnham, Miller,
Here.
Chapman,
Here.
Okay. We do have a quorum. The consent agenda is to approve the December 6, 22 meetings, minutes, and the December 22 claims, the November 22 financials, and the January 23 estimated payroll. Is there any item you'd like to take off the consent agenda? If not, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Call for a vote, please.
Scott,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Okay. Any remarks or inquiries in the MUA from the audience, not pertaining to any item that's on the agenda? Anybody like to say anything to the MUA? Yes, sir.
Question.
Yes.
Back to the EMS, with the $10.
Well, we can't really discuss anything that was on the agenda, sorry. You can ask, yeah, I start say, he'll be able to,
That's
Okay.
on the MUA agenda as well.
yeah, okay. Yeah,
That's under
it
number
is.
5 and 6.
Number 5 and 6, it's on the agenda for number 5 and 6, so we can't talk about that, discuss that, but ask him, and we can when we get into this.
Yeah.
When we get into this, we'll answer your question.
And it has to be on both agendas because the MUA is a party to that contract
Okay,
as well.
okay.
And the MUA is the one that actually collects the fee.
Oh, yeah, yes,
When you have the people taking desk off,
yes.
Scott, we could do it. After people come up here, people that's in the audience have got to have a clue what they're saying. Is
Okay.
there any way you could put that podium over here, or over here, so that you're talking, so the audience can actually hear what you're saying?
Is there no speakers when we talk?
There's not any speakers, but you know, that's a possibility that we might,
That's a valid point, and we'll make that correction. 'Cause you're
basically, we
correct.
need to get speakers in here is what we need to do, to be pointed at you guys.
There's one gentleman that talked, right?
Didn't hear anything?
Didn't hear a cotton thing. I have no idea what he's talking
Okay.
about.
Clyde,
I just can't hear it.
Yeah, Clyde.
yeah.
If we're gonna come to a meeting, we need to hear what's going on.
Well, I agree. You're totally right. totally right. And so we need to be looking at, and we could get something simple too that can be, you know, those
Well,
Bluetooth
we'll
speakers.
address that. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or remarks from the audience? Okay, if not, we're gonna go on to, item number 5, which is just what we've already talked about, so we don't need to, we don't need to talk about that again, do we?
No.
If you
Okay.
have a comment on there, you can take his comment.
Yeah, yeah, if you,
Did you have a question on the ambulance, Gary?
Yeah, I just got a question.
yeah,
Okay.
you can talk about that now, we're on number 5. You're welcome.
Prior to $12 a month, what were we paying, how were we financing EMS? How were
Nothing,
they operating without $12?
they weren't, they were getting ready to close.
The doors, honestly, by the grace of God, I don't say that lightly, is the only reason why we're here. There's been many nights and many times we've sat there and stared at each other trying to figure out, we met every Wednesday for about 2 years, trying to keep the doors open, and it did not go. I mean, honestly, if the $12 hadn't went through, I would honestly was gonna resign because it will not cash flow without it. There's not enough there. The problem you run into is when the ambulance runs, we can bill somebody, we can bill Medicare $1,000, but they're only gonna pay 30 or 40% of that, which is $300-400. Well, if we only have one run that day, but we need the medics down there, then that's not gonna cover our expenditures. I mean, it's just not gonna do it.
Were we getting any funds from anywhere else? I mean, was the city providing any funds, Urban County?
Ad valorem tax,
That's
got about
the
50,000.
only outside source besides strictly off the roof.
And there's been a lot of EMS that goes down really nationwide, but especially Oklahoma.
Okay, $12. Now, back to Phil's question. Now, you're getting paid for the services. If you come get me, take me somewhere, you're gonna get paid.
What, what,
Medicare just pays nothing. Okay, now I'm paying $12 on top of it.
Well, you're not right now,
You're not.
City limits, you're not.
I'm not,
You're not a resident.
in the.
Let's say you are.
Let's say in the city. Okay, there's somewhere you should be making some money.
well, they are, they're,
If you got half the people in this town that are Medicare, you're getting paid for that.
It's, it's the other probably 30 or 40% that have no coverage that you can't go after. I mean, yeah, you can ask the cops, you can ask Brandon Burbank who's worked for us. I mean, there's been some months we might not got paid anything because when you send so-and-so a bill, that doesn't mean that they're gonna pay it. And so what that $12 is, it's an insurance policy for the county. I mean, I know what you mean, Gary, I know what Phil's talking about, absolutely. I understand both sides of it, but it's a service that if we don't pay our $12, as a community, as a county, we will not have it. We will rely on Jackson County or Holy to send money over.
I don't have a problem with $12.
Yeah, I know you
Whatsoever.
don't.
I'm just trying to figure out how this all works.
And there might be something that we can work on to, we don't wanna rob, we're not trying to rob people.
Anybody can do
We're just trying to-
$12. I
Yeah.
mean, that ain't the question.
Yeah.
It's just, we wanna fund the EMS. We don't want to be a cash cow. I mean, that's what I'm talking about.
and I think that's, Gary, that's what we look at, are gonna look at every year to see where the level is, how the money is flowing, and how much you're getting, and is it covering everything? If it's getting to where it can function on, $9 or $6, that would be a possibility too, or at some point where we don't have to pay it at all. But it's gonna be this audit that's gonna tell us, how are we functioning, are we making money, are we able to pay our bills?
Right. I mean, like I say, I've got.
Right. Yeah, and we talked about that, whenever we did the $12, we talked about, does it need to be 12, does it need to be 10, and then the gentleman said he figured it should be 12, and so that's what we went with.
And this is the thing, like it's a juggling act because we need to get more medics on board so we can take the transports. But if we're not getting the transports, you know, then we're shooting ourselves in the foot.
Yeah.
by paying
Transports
guys
are
that we,
important.
you know, so we're trying, we're close. We're getting there. You know, I'm anxious to see where we're at in another 12 months.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta have a service. And it costs
Absolutely.
$20 a month.
Yeah.
I mean, we gotta have a service.
Yeah.
And that was where we figured with $12 will help pay for payroll and allow our other income to help pay our other bills. I mean, it's been a long time since we've been able to, supply an ambulance on our own without help. I mean, it was, you ask these guys, I mean, it was headed up for a long time, so there's a, you know, there are a few things like just being able to get supplies again to come in and not have to ask so-and-so, hey, we'll repay you when we get some money in or whatever. Now it's to the point where, hey, we can operate every month and not have to wait when we come to come in. And that was one thing too, is and that's the reason why we felt like $12 is a start. Last year at this time, one of the previous councilmen was kind of against it. And then we came here and he said, you know, I kind of did the math, and $12 is not enough. And we said, well, maybe not, but we don't know. We're willing to not. We're willing to keep it lower for now. Let's see where we're going. And it's working. I mean, it is working. Like I said, we've got some big expenditures coming up. We always have to renew our insurance in February. And that's a total of about $27,000 a year that we have to pay out just in insurance. So there's some bigger things out there, you know, trying to keep the trucks in good shape. All of the electrical things that go on. I mean, there's all kinds of expenditures right now. That's the reason why we're trying to work to get at least start renovating all our trucks. You know, hey, if we can start working towards new stuff, I mean, it's just like, you know, the police department, if they're not trying to improve their stuff, you're gonna be working on it constantly, and that's where we're.
But you gotta cover expenses.
Yes.
I mean, you gotta do that. Now, who gets the copies of it? Does that go to the city?
No, I'll bring them in. As a matter of fact, while we were sitting back here, she's turned in the audit, but it might be a week or two before they can get it reviewed. I'm gonna reach out to the head lady tomorrow, and see if she can help
Tell her
push
that,
us along and why.
and give her that date on that meeting so that she'll have an idea, you know, we need to have it done by then.
Yes. So I did find that out since we talked.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, so number 5 is table, is no action on that, number 5. And number 6 is the same item that we voted on before to enter into, we didn't vote on before, we tabled that one also. I'm assuming we need to do that again. We'll table number 6 for the January 24th special meeting. Okay. All right, any staff and board remarks at this time? Nobody? Okay, good deal. No new business? Okay, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a motion? Do I have a second? Have a second? Call for a vote, please.
Scott,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Okay, meeting is adjourned.
All right.